Tiger Wolf and Shahryar finally throw down in this epic episode of Gundam Build Divers. What's up, my Gunpla people? It's time to talk about another episode of Gundam Build Divers. We're getting this much closer to the end game of the series, and so far, I've actually been kind of enjoying this story, this big battle that's going on between the Build Divers force and the Gunpla coalition, as they're desperately trying to take Sarah back, save her, or ultimately destroy her. And basically, this entire arc is just a setup to see our favorite rivals come together and battle, and this episode was mostly dedicated to Tiger Wolf versus Shahryar, and honestly, it was pretty exciting. I really wish that the battle would have taken up a little bit more of the episode, and maybe they could have even delved into their backstories, maybe who they are in real life just a little bit more, but pretty much it's exactly what you would expect, a big, super heated battle of ideological views, and basically, that's what the entire Gundam series is all about in the first place. In many ways, this is really sort of like capturing the essence of what a true Gundam series is all about, except just doing it in a more fanciful setting, the setting of Gundam Build Divers. But Tiger Wolf vs. Shahryar is okay. Like I said, I was sort of expecting maybe just a little bit more from this battle. Like many of the previous fights that do involve Tiger Wolf and Shahryar, there's a tremendous amount of reused animation, which is always a shame when that happens because it just feels like you're losing money here. It's like, I know you're not actually paying to actually see this. Most of this stuff is for free, especially at Gundam Info on YouTube, but it just feels like, I'm not really getting the bang for my buck here. I've seen this before, show me something new. Really, in many ways, Gundam Build Divers is sort of like the filler anime before we move on to the next real Gundam series. We do have Gundam Unicorn getting a sequel in movie form that's coming out very soon, and I can't wait to see what that's all about, and a few other big surprises, I'm sure, in the next couple years, but as it is, Gundam Build Divers, I'm just trying to take it for what it is at this point, which is just a laid-back, not too serious anime series, which is there for the Gundam fans and to sell model kits to kids. Aside from that, there were actually other elements about this episode that I really enjoyed. I love that they actually came up with this really brilliant plan where they were actually going to come in on the shuttle, which was not actually going to have their Gunpla in it at all, and it was going to be destroyed. And everybody would think, oh, that's pretty much the end of it. But actually, no, they're going to be sneaking underground to get even closer to Sarah. This way they can avoid possibly getting destroyed and going up against a tremendous amount of forces. It's a solid plan. The only thing that sucks is it doesn't really end up working out all that well. I mean, everybody is able to figure out exactly what their plan is going to be, and really, after that, it's basically just like watching a bunch of toys smack into one another. What is cool, however, is that after the battle of Tiger Wolf and Shahryar, we get to see that they put aside their differences, they start working together, and that's when Kyoja Kujo shows up, and he ends up sort of being like the final opponent for everyone, and it all ends with him and Riku getting ready to throw down, which seems to be that's what they're actually building up to in the finale of the series. Maybe there's going to be one more twist or surprise. We're just going to have to watch to find out. So, what's the rundown on this episode of Gundam Build Divers? I liked and didn't really like this episode at the same time. It's kind of hard to put into words why I didn't really care for this one. Like I said, the battle between Tiger Wolf and Shahryar was pretty interesting. It's just kind of more of the same of what we've seen from their characters. I really thought that maybe we were going to get more to the heart of what their entire rivalry is about, and for the most part, it's just still sort of the same thing. It's a battle of two ideological views. You know, they basically just agree to disagree, and really, it almost seems like Shahryar really just wanted to join the opposing force just so he could have his battle with Tiger Wolf. In a way, he was sort of testing himself. He was sort of fired up after watching the battle between Tiger Wolf and Riku, and in many senses that was kind of cool, if only because it was just good to finally get some more emotion out of Shahryar, who's a character that I feel, for the most part in this entire series, his presence has been kind of wasted. Outside of his first initial introduction episode, they didn't do that much with him, aside from making him just sort of appear in the background and talk about love. Here, when they're finally starting to inject a little more characterization into him, I'm like, well, it's the end of the series. It just feels a little too little too late. Tiger Wolf, on the other hand, has been considerably more consistent throughout the entire series, and I think is an infinitely more likable character. However, I do believe that this is a choice by the creators of the series. They want you to sort of, I think, like Tiger Wolf just a little bit more than Shahryar, and of course, side with him just a little bit more. Plus, that combined with his design and his complete compassionate and super passionate nature makes him just such a really fun freaking character. I mean, just look at him. It's like watching a wolf man fight against a weird furry man. I don't know, it was okay. What I will say is it was kind of cool at the end when they were fighting against the champ and they actually managed to combine their abilities together. Again, it's mostly just more of the same stuff that we've seen before, but still, it's great to see these guys put their differences aside just to go into battle. There's a couple other cool scenes in this episode. I think it was kind of unceremonious how we finally got to see Yuki's brand new Gunpla in action. I feel like it deserved a much better introduction of an episode. Here it's just kind of like, well, here's my new Gunpla, and it's just like the Gundam X, which in and of itself is pretty freaking cool. The fact that he was able to implement that incredibly destructive system into his power, harnessing the power of the moon to destroy everything in a massive blaze of glory. And I still stand by the fact that I think Yuki is probably a way more interesting character than Riku is throughout the entire freaking show. There's also still a little bit more drama between the champion and the Game Master, and it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe the Game Master himself has somewhat become corrupted. Maybe he is actually kind of the pseudo-villain of the series. But again, I don't like to think of it that way. This is definitely not a black and white type of Gundam show where one person is clearly the villain, one person is clearly the bad guy. In many ways, it is similar to other Gundams, but here it's just sort of downplayed a little bit. But again, it's the type of show that if you just turn your brain off, kick your feet up, have a beer, and watch, you're probably at least going to get a couple laughs and some cool action scenes. This episode certainly had that one in spades. But it's making me realize that I'm still just not loving Gundam Build Divers as much as I want to. That being said, it's still very watchable and some solid entertainment if you just want to watch some robots kicking the shit out of one another. I'm giving this episode right here a solid 3 out of 5. That's right, a good, fun, average episode of the series, which you should definitely check out if you have been following the entire season, and if you just want to see some cool, awesome Gundam action. So there it is. That's my thoughts on the episode. I'd love to get all of your thoughts on it, however, and you can tell me all of them in the comment section below, and what you hope to see from the rest of Gundam Build Divers. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you guys all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.